Hello students, my name is Prerna and I'm your EVS teacher. And today from your EVS book Enviro, we are going to be reading chapter number 18. Tell me one thing, what are the three necessities of life? Food, clothing and shelter? We all have heard about this. But there's one more necessity of life which probably we don't realize the importance of. Now let us read chapter number 18 to understand that what is this other necessity of life. This is chapter number 18 and the name of the chapter is Water in Our Lives. Yes, this comes as a part of food only, but we generally don't understand its importance. All living things, humans, plants and animals need water. They need water to live and grow. The human body contains 70% of water. We need to drink a lot of water as it helps in digesting of food, circulation of blood, and removal of waste from the body. We lose water from our body in the form of sweat, urine, or tears. No wonder we have to drink a lot of water to make up for this loss. We also get water from juices, fruits, and vegetables. The earth itself has more water than land. In fact, our earth is also known as the blue planet or the watery planet because three-fourths of its surface is covered with water. So, what is the other name for planet Earth? Blue planet or watery planet. Now, we talk about how our planet or from where does our planet gets water from? What are the sources? So we have sources like tanks, rivers, and reservoirs. Now, a few of these are natural resources through which water is there on earth. A few of them are man-made. Rain, of course, is a natural source of water. It is the main source of water on earth. It is the purest form of water. Rainwater falls into rivers, lakes, ponds, seas, and oceans. The water present on surface is called as surface water. So we all have studied in our earlier classes. We've studied the entire process of evaporation and how rain falls on earth, due to which the lakes and the rivers and the ponds, they also receive water. Then you have, of course, lakes and ponds. A large area of water surrounded by land is called as lake, and pond is a much smaller area of water. And the interesting thing about a pond is that it can be man-made also and it can be natural also. And the same goes for lakes as well. Then you have underground water, most commonly used source of water even in our homes. Most of the rainwater seeps into the ground and collects below, and it is called as underground water. This water is safe and fit for drinking. To take out underground water, wells, hand pumps and tube wells are used. So, of course, we all know that there's water beneath the ground, but what are the sources? So, you have wells, you have tube wells, and you have hand pumps. Sometimes underground water reappears on the surface as springs. Then the next source of water we have is rivers. And where do they originate from? Glaciers or springs in the mountains. Rivers also originate from highlands which get plenty of rainfall. Then we have seas and oceans. These are large water bodies, but their water is unusable as it is salty. How many of you have ever been uh, to a beach? Has that water ever gone inside your mouth? What is the taste? It's so salty. You just feel like spitting it out, and most of us do that. So that is the ocean water or the sea water. And oceans are larger than seas. Salty water can only be used after removing salt from it. And how do you do that? Mostly by boiling it. This process is called as desalination. This process is costly and it is very complicated. So we've studied about the various sources of water. We've studied about rivers, seas, ocean, ponds and lakes, and also about underground water. And where does underground water come from? From rain. Then seasonal change in water level and flow. Very important concept related to water. That how does the level of water changes as per the seasons? Let's study it. Water level in ponds, lakes and rain-fed rivers does not remain the same throughout the year. It changes with the change of season. In summers, water level goes too low, whereas it comes up high during the monsoons. Why? Because in summers, it tends to dry. But in monsoons, because there is continuous rain, the level of water increases. Sometimes during the monsoon in India, rainfall at places is so heavy that the water level in rivers and lakes often rises. It overflows the banks and causes floods. Water level decreases slowly in winters. Then you have storing water. How do you store water? What are the ways through which we can store water? Most of the rain in India is brought by monsoon winds. During monsoons, there is usually plenty of water everywhere. Since rain does not fall regularly, it is important to store water. How do we do that? We do it by building dams, reservoirs, and tanks. We store water in these till we need it. Where there are large rivers, canals are also built to take water to places where there is not enough water. So, a canal is usually used for irrigation. It is a channel of water taken from a lake or a river and used by farmers for irrigating their fields. Reservoirs are natural or artificial lakes in which water is stored for irrigation or to supply for domestic use or to generate hydroelectric power. Then you have dams. So you can see a picture of a dam here. A dam is a barrier or wall built across the river to hold back the water. So you can see this bridge kind of a thing which is built here to hold back the water, forming a reservoir. It has special gates which can be opened or closed to control the flow of water. And while we are studying this, I really want to tell all of you that you must visit a dam. Trust me, it is a beautiful experience. Some dams are built to produce electricity, store water, and provide water for irrigating fields. Such dams, which have many uses, are known as multi-purpose projects. And the biggest example in India is the Bhakra Nangal Dam, which is on River Satluj. It is the biggest dam in India. And I have seen this dam. It's a beautiful dam to visit. You must also see this. So next time you plan a vacation with your family, it should be at Bhakra Nangal Dam. Now we talk about changing forms of water, how water takes several different forms. Water is a unique liquid that it exists in three forms in nature: solid as ice, liquid as water, and gas as vapor or steam. It is a colorless, tasteless. It is colorless, tasteless, and odorless. There are two basic processes which are used to change the form of water. So one is by heating, it is called as evaporation, which we already discussed. One is the process of water vapor changing back into water on cooling, and it is called as condensation. Then we talk about water cycle. Water on earth is constantly on the move. It recycles over and over again due to heat of the sun. So now we understand this process of water cycle through a diagram. So this is the sun. What is happening? Water in various water bodies, it evaporates in the form of water vapor. So now, because there's so much of heat, this water body, the water in here, it is getting evaporated in the form of water vapors. This water vapor rises up in the atmosphere. Then what happens? It reaches the clouds or reaches the colder upper layers of the atmosphere, it condenses to form droplets. These group together to form clouds. And then what happens? Rain. Droplets join to form bigger drops. When they are heavy, they fall as rain, snow, sleet, or hail, and this is called as precipitation. All right. So when this takes the form of, let's say, water droplets, it's rain. When they take the form of snow, then it is also called as the snowfall or the hailstorm. And this entire process is also called as precipitation. Rainwater collects in streams and rivers. It flows down towards the sea from where evaporation takes place, and this is called as the water cycle. And this is, of course, a very simple diagram of water cycle given here, which is telling you the process of condensation, evaporation, and precipitation. So just to put it simply, evaporation is the heating of water, condensation is the cooling of that water and changing the form, and precipitation is the falling of water in different forms. All right. Then very important, water conservation. Why? Because we all know that water is a natural resource, and in most of the places, not just in India but across the globe, it is not used wisely. So it is important to conserve it. How do we do that? Says there's very little amount of fresh water on earth. The increase in population has led to scarcity of water sources. There are many places where people do not have water to drink. Can you imagine? So it is important to conserve water. Rainwater harvesting is a way to capture rainwater when it rains and store it for using it later. Water conservation refers to reducing the usage of water and recycling of waste for different purposes. So, what are the simple ways in which we can do it? We should not let the tap water running while we are brushing our teeth. And most of us have this habit that we leave the tap open and we are brushing our teeth. We should use a bucket of water instead of water pipe for washing vehicles. We can use water that has been used to wash vegetables, fruits, etc. to water the plants. One example here I can give you, most of us have, or maybe all of us have air conditioners at our home. So what happens, the water that drops from that pipe, we can store that water in a bucket, or the water that comes out from the water purifiers. That water, you can use it for giving it to the plants. We should check for any leaking pipes, and in case there is, we should get it repaired immediately. So these are the small ways through which you can conserve water. The struggle for acquiring water. Water is our wealth, so let us not waste it. It is an important natural resource and we have to use it wisely before we find ourselves craving for every drop of water. It is not right for some people to keep digging deeper and deeper to meet their water needs. Overdrawing water from the ground near the coast can result in seawater seeping underground. As a result, the groundwater can become salty. So imagine we can probably ruin an important water resource. People should become aware and stop those who break the laws. The World Water Conference, it was held in Kerala in January 2004. What was the conference about? This was the place where a reputed cola company was drawing a lot of underground water from the land. They were paying the panchayat rupees 6 lakh every year. The people soon had no water to drink, or they did not even have water for their fields, for the or to harvest the coconuts, and this affected the agriculture. They protested along with the panchayat and even went to court. In December 2003, the company was ordered to stop taking out of the water because it was spoiling the water sources. The people of Lachimada, and people of other plants where companies are mining water are committed to stopping the theft of water. So imagine how certain companies are spoiling or are ruining the water resources. Here I would just like to say two lines that are from one of the poem. It says, water, water everywhere, but not a drop to drink. Imagine, we're talking about a situation that maybe there's water around us, but there's no drop to drink. Why? Because the water is not suitable enough for us to drink, right? So we'll study about this in the next chapter. But as of now, considering this chapter, I want all of you to be wise enough while you're using water. Please don't waste it. And when you come back from your home, from your school, and there's water left in your water bottle, please don't throw it on the road. Maybe you can keep a small bowl out your outside your house, and you can put the water in it. Probably the stray animals can drink it, or maybe you can use that water to give to plants which are there at your home. Thank you so much.